went to this community meeting with the Join organization.
Panthers are here. Panthers are here. For uptown. Okay. We come here with our hearts open. You cats to supervise us where we can be of help to you. What do you want in your community? What do you want here? Are you afraid of you want to take berets off, man, or what?
There were a lot of suspicions about the Black Panthers that they were gun-carrying terrorists.
It was a scenario that I had never been in before. I see some guys with Confederate flag patches. I was a little concerned.
The thing we got to deal with is concept of poverty, man. We got to erase the color thing. See,
the building's not fit for dogs to live in, but humans having to pay $144 a month for the thing. They sell the building, to new ownership. What we need is understanding among the people, coalition between the people to stick together and take them owners and put them over here in the lake somewhere.
Right on. Once you realize, man, that your house is funky with rats and roaches, same way a black dude's house is, once you realize that your brother's been brutalized by the cop, the same way the west side and south side is, once you realize that you are paying taxes for the cops to whoop your ass, you're paying them, and you're paying them to kill you. You deal from there. The same things happen on the south
Bob
side.
Lee turned out to be quite an organizer. And he says, yeah, my name is Bobby Lee, but my real name is Robert E. Lee. And we all laughed. He said, you got to be kidding me.
Who's here that want to see this thing move? Yeah, man. Right on. Well, the first thing we talk about now is how we're going to organize. Where are we going to organize? And, we're all going to get run out of here eventually.
That was a good meeting. It was. It got everybody riled up.
Welcome to another episode of RBN Live Tuesdays. I'm one of your hosts, CJ. What's up, JB, Sabrina, and Nick?
What's poppin', fam?
Hello.
Alrighty. Excuse me. Hopefully, Rome will be joining soon. Did Josana say anything?
I think Josana said she's running a little bit late, but she's gonna join us here soon too.
Okay, good. Awesome.
The
So
whole family's here.
What were you gonna say, JB? What were you gonna say, JB?
You're muted.
Oh, you're muted.
I'm just celebrating y'all. That's all.
Oh, right on.
Boy, JB just living his best right now.
I just found this gem of a video where they're talking about actually meeting up. But what do you think? Let's start with Sabrina. What were your thoughts, or what are your thoughts about just this kind of video, this sort of thing that they're talking about in the video?
It just goes to show you how they were able to come together on the class issue. And the Black Panthers were able to describe to the young patriots, listen, we're fighting the same fight here. Maybe not necessarily the racial divide, but when it came to the class issue, they had the same struggles.
Absolutely. And Nick, did you have any thoughts? Go ahead.
This shows what we mean by class solidarity. And there's a lot of revolutionary indiscipline among the progressives, the social democrats, the socialists, whatever you want to call them, who are more invested in the two-party struggle. So they think class consciousness and being class conscious is organizing with their class with people you agree with. So they were like, oh, I believe in class solidarity, but not a Trump supporter. Not if you watch Tucker Carlson. And I think this was done on purpose by the leaders of the boutique left, so workers don't organize. So you be afraid of your neighbor. And that's been the argument that we've been making on RB and Stabby, AB and CJ. We all been making the argument. Stop being afraid of your neighbor. Stop allowing the partisan red-blue game to weaken the working class like many have. But I'll pass it back to you, CJ. And then we did a lot to talk about on this.
Yeah, we do. But JB, what were your thoughts? Just to complete the circle here, what were your thoughts about the video?
Yeah. So people in the chat and people who are watching on the rewatch, how many of you think that liberals are propagandized? If you think liberals are propagandized, then wouldn't conservatives be propagandized too? If that's the case, then wouldn't you realize that a lot of them are propagandized by the people at the top to blame people who look like me or who love like people like me, right? In order to think that they're the cause of why the nation is going bad, when really they're being lied to by the oligarchs. They're being lied to by the people who are heads of the military-industrial complex, that they're being lied to. Those of you who are deeply conservative, especially economically conservative or, capitalistic, I got news for you. You guys are pawns in their game, and y'all being played like a fiddle. And so the thing is that when class solidarity starts to happen, that's when the stormtroopers come out. That's when the people start to be silenced by. We tend to get canceled, right? We like look at last week at Danny Haifong, right? Danny Haifong was canceled. Look at what Mempress News just brought out today, that Twitter is hiring people of the national security state throughout all their ranks. I covered this on my show earlier. They're hiring people from the FBI to be in their ranks. So guess what? They're not just coming after us, they're coming after anybody. But the thing is that they're using you to come after the people who have no power.
Yep. And we gotta have class solidarity as workers. And I'm sure that we're gonna dive into this later.
Absolutely.
The ruling class has class solidarity. So they've been fighting a one-sided class war while the workers been focused on the culture war. And I can give you guys just one example, right? And I can give you guys many, right? Yeah. But the most recent thing was, remember how the Supreme Court was trying to strike down Roe v. Wade, right? So then you had a bunch of working class activists like, no, you guys can't control the family planning of the working class. So they did what the best thing they can do, because you can't protest at the Supreme Court. They start protesting at people's homes. So then you had the Democrats who was supposedly supposed to be in horror, shocked because they're seeing the extremist Supreme Court taking away the rights of workers. But Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and the entire Democratic Party was like, you peasants, don't protest in front of their houses. You see how they always got each other's back? That's just one of many examples, but I just want to add that and now pass to CJ.
No, yeah, and that's because people don't, when we say class solidarity, there is a reverse of that, and that's what you're speaking to. They have class solidarity all the time against us. And there she goes, Josanna. What's up, Josanna? Greetings.
Hi, everyone. Sorry for my delay. Happy to be here.
No worries. Let's do a chat check. And let's do a like check. We have 100 people, 110 people. Can we get to 100 likes so we can get more people in the chat, get this conversation going? And let's see who's in the chat. If any of you see somebody just pop their comment up. I know all of us can do it because I'm not good with keeping up with comments. So everybody throw up comments as you see them. So
we got you.
Yeah,
a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Guys, I saw a lot of people. I saw a lot of people talking about this in the chat. So the old Thursday roundtable is now. Like, we got RBN Live is on Tuesday. The amazing Sabby and JB show is on Thursday now. I just saw there a lot of comments where people were like kind of confused about that. Just watch and enjoy. But we got a lot of great programs for you guys. But that's something I just want to address.
Does Ware explain it correctly? JB and Sabby, does he explain it here correctly?
Yes.
Everything? Yes. So thank you, Ware. Thank you. So this is the update that what Nick is referring to. So RBN Lives is here Tuesdays. Yeah. The Thursday one was switched to this slot for the new show, which is a great show. Check that show out. All right, so let's. I think we should just start with the main topic, but go ahead, JB.
Just wanted to bring attention to this very embarrassing moment. Yes, Eric, I remember like it was yesterday. Unfortunately, I'm trying not to never let that happen again. But I'm imperfect, y'all. So just don't tell CJ, Rome, or Nick. Don't tell him.
No, I can't say, bro. You guys should have seen.
Don't tell him that happened.
A lot of my OG supporters would tell me, like the people who used to watch my old school YouTube channel when I first got started, back when I had super ghetto ass internet. Like, you don't know, I cleaned up back in the day. My stream could end at any time. I'm like, guys, I'm gonna talk about free stories, and then my internet may go out. If you guys see my stream, I even tell like if you guys see my stream like go out, just know the show's over, and I hope you guys. You came a long way.
That's hilarious. That's the proletariat, though. That's the proletariat. But so let's let Josana watch the video just to get her caught up, and to also let this be the preface to the Jimmy Dore video where he discussed it. I think it's with Chris Hedges. So let's play this again for Josana.
Went to this community meeting with the Join organization.
Panthers are here. Panthers are here. For uptown. Okay. We come here with our hearts open. You cats to supervise us, where we can be of help to you. What do you want in your community? What do you want here? Are you afraid of paying? You want to take berets off, man, or what?
There were a lot of suspicions about the Black Panthers that they were gun-carrying terrorists.
It was a scenario that I had never been in before. I see some guys with Confederate flag patches. I was a little concerned.
The thing we got to deal with is concept of poverty, man. We got to reach the color thing. See,
The building's not fit for dogs to live in, but humans having to pay $144 a month for the thing. They sell the building, to new ownership. What we need is understanding among the people, coalition between the people to stick together and take them owners and cut them over here in the lake somewhere.
right on. Once you realize, man, that your house is funky with rats and roaches, same way a black dude's house is, once you realize that your brothers have been brutalized by the cop, the same way the west side and south side is, once you realize that you are paying taxes for the cops to whoop your ass, you're paying them, and you're paying them to kill you, and deal from there. The same things happen on the south
Bob
side.
Lee turned out to be quite an organizer. And he says, yeah, my name is Bobby Lee, but my real name is Robert E. Lee. And we all laughed. He said, you got to be kidding me.
Who's here that want to see this thing move? Yeah, man. Right on. Well, the first thing we talk about now is how we're going to organize. Where are we going to organize? And, we're all going to get run out of here eventually.
That was a good meeting. It was. It got everybody riled up.
Yeah, so I think that's a great because we can always talk about it and pontificate about it, but this video is showing historical evidence of them actually putting that idea in place, and we now understand, if you didn't at this point, why the United States viewed the Black Panther Party, this small group comparatively to the country, as enemy number one, because they're getting people of the same class, racial lines to come together. And I think it showed it in the video, or if it's not this one, it's another video that I'm going to show. When they showed up, they had Confederate flags all throughout. The Black Panthers showed up and they have Confederate flags. They're talking to these people with Confederate flags. And then we find it hard to talk to people who are just Trump supporters. It's just bizarre to me.
Can you imagine if they was operating today? The amount of smears, like Red Brown Alliance. Look,
right?
They would call them tankies. But this is our legacy as a people that is looking for liberation and justice, right? So a lot of people assume that like MLK was like kicking his head, his legs up. He was resting after the Civil Rights Act passed. No, he started the Poor People's Campaign where he said, let's bring a rainbow coalition together. That is what got him killed by the CIA. That is what got him killed by the state. So once you start talking about bringing communities together to challenge the power of capitalists, that should be our number one concern, not drawing the lines in the sand that the liberal class wants us to, right? And that's what CJ mentioned earlier, where people just arbitrarily draw a line in the sand because someone's family voted Republican, they voted Trump, even though I show polls, man. There's a large segment I got a story I'm gonna do later today on our police panel tonight. Like, ultra conservatives in polls actually support defunding the police and funding social programs more than people who call themselves moderates. I'm gonna get into more details in that later. But what mainstream political groupthink will have you believe is that as Black people, as workers, that we should be reaching out to Amy Klobuchar supporters, right? Which I'm not against it. They're on our side, but why do people think it's okay for us to reach out to Amy Klobuchar supporters, which are extremely conservative voters? But whenever someone mentioned reaching out to Republicans or Trump supporters, that's when you crossed the line. They all support the same imperialist system. We want to drag as many of those people as possible, right? But go ahead.
No, absolutely. Let's bring in Sabby, and then we'll go to Josana.
No, Nick is spot on. I mean, it's just they want you to stay within a certain party. They don't want you to start talking to people about class. And that's like their biggest fear. If you organize with people along class lines, they don't want you to do that. And I think a good example of that is Bernie Sanders. I know when he was running in 2020 and in 2016, there were actually people who consider themselves to be conservatives per se that I saw in the South that supported Bernie Sanders' message that said, yeah, we all do need to have health care. And I think what happens is when you have the liberal groups in this country, they frame it in a way that is going to turn off conservatives, is going to turn off those groups of people. But when you talk about it as a class struggle and the class issues, more people are willing to listen and to understand.
Absolutely. And Josana, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's more and more clear that if the Democratic Party, if the Democrats were a party of the people and they were willing to win for the people, then they would have let Bernie Sanders be the candidate a long time ago. And they would have real progressives, like the squad wouldn't just be there for like to be the extras in the movie. They would actually do like the congressman will be doing stuff, right?
Like
it's kind of clear now that that's not what's going to happen. And so then what's the plan? Because we're not going to get there through electoral politics. We have to support organizations and we have to speak amongst each other and realize that, yes, this is a class fight. This is a class war. And we have to go to war with the class that is oppressing us. And then we have to realize that the other transformation that has to happen while we are going to get what we need. It's not a little time for each thing. It's not compartmentalizing. Yes, white people are born and they are born in privilege, even if they are poor, and they will be racist because that's the way this privilege is kept. But if I believe that this is a class war, I will do, and I'm a white person, I will in me recognize that and work in myself while I support the community towards to what I
that
want.
is such a great point, and I think the video illustrated that. And yet the what are they called, the Young Patriots, because they were not at all completely not racist. How some people try to say they weren't there yet, and they say that in that documentary. Is like, they were softer on that than some, maybe not as a hard line, with sheets and everything, but they had some of the same biases and bigotry. I mean, you walk in and there's a Confederate flag, but they saw, when you see the same thing, but keeping us apart from talking doesn't allow a person who's racist based off of what JB was saying. It's the colonization of their mind. They're like, if you seeing if you're experiencing a black person, it's like, this black person is not at all like what they've been telling me black people are like. This black person is working hard and he's struggling too, or she's struggling too, or this person is struggling too. Like, that is the way, to me. That's how my mom broke it down with the crazy lady. I've told this story many times. That's the way. It's the only way. It's not to say that it's our job. That's not what the Panthers did. The Panthers explained to them, and then that's how they were able to open their eyes up and say, this racism shit is a joke.
Yeah, whenever I hear people talk about the Black Panthers Patriots thing, they're like, yeah, the Patriots all of a sudden stop being racist, and then they start working. Like, guys, how you guys think that process happens? When you look at people who are racist, these are people who usually do not hang around Black people. These are people usually in highly white areas, right? So their only depictions of Black people come from stereotypes. Like, I have a friend, we interviewed him on the show, Steve. He was like, yeah, I used to be prejudiced. I used to be racist, right? But then I started actually hanging around Black people and things changed. And I think that is what led the Patriots to really be show class solidarity with the Panthers.
Yeah.
Because one concept I also do want to introduce here as well. When you have a group of people that is fighting for their liberation, that's a class issue, right? So if you are supportive of the police state, you cannot call yourself class conscious, right? If you are fighting the culture war that is meant to divide the workers, like if you're like a white cis guy and you tweeting about trans people all day, it's not the trans people that fight for their freedom that are disrupting worker solidarity. It's you. It's you, because trans people are workers, and that's just an example of that. Now, I also want to show you guys this receipt I have, and then we can get JB and Savvy back in here, because this is what I was talking about earlier. A lot of people, because of corporate media, their view of the Overton window is completely skewed. And I realized this, as I mentioned before, many times. I canvassed in Missouri, which is a conservative state. I was canvassing in South Carolina, giving speeches in Black barbershops, talking to white conservatives as well. Like, yeah, I think we should have healthcare. We should have minimum wage, right? Look at this. Look at this. Look at this chart. This is despite what everything mainstream media would tell you, right? Everyone was like, oh my God, run away from policing issues, run away from defund the police, even though it's popular. Now look at this. This is super interesting because you would never know this if you just listen to Fox News or New York Times, right? Look at the bottom. I'm gonna read it because I know it may be small. So this chart says moving money to social services. Voters want to increase. So that's bullshit. But they also say that moving money to the police budget to social services will make the city better off. So the first part is propaganda, guys, because they had to report on this poll. So they're like, yeah, voters technically think we should have more LAPD. But in that same poll, it showed voters wanting to decrease the budgets.
Yeah.
But look at this. Obviously, the very liberal people are very high. But look at the bottom. Strongly conservative, 30%, 3 out of 10. I take that number. But look at this. Moderate. Me and CJ covered this when we first touched on it. You know, is that moderate is at 21%. Strongly conservative is at 30%. So the person, let's think about who is the moderate. Think about the person who's like, oh, I'm more of a moderate. These are the people who their first choice was Joe Biden, right? They voted for Amy Klobuchar. These are the people who love Pete Buttigieg. And this is an anecdotal experience, guys. Mm-hmm. When I was traveling, when I was talking to people, it was a strongly conservative people that were more likely, they would talk to me because they would be interested. Whenever I saw like an Amy Klobuchar supporter, a Pete Buttigieg supporter, and I talk about this all the time, they was the most hostile people to, like, especially a young Black Bernie supporter, right? So completely decolonize your mind and erase the preconceptions that you guys have on who can be one and who cannot be one. Because based on that chart and based on many models I've seen before, you guys are better off trying to win over the redneck than the New York liberal. I'm telling you guys that straight up right now. But I'll pass it back to the panel.
Yeah,
go ahead, JB. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sabby.
I was going to say, like Nick, I've lived in some of those areas where people have those beliefs. And I think it's important for people to understand that the reason why they feel that way is because they are taught to believe that the reason why they have the economic situation that they have is because of other racial groups. That's why they may have the rhetoric that they have towards people who immigrate into the country. That's why they may have the opinions they have about Black people, because that's what they're taught to believe. They are watching media that is telling them it's the immigrants' fault. It's the Black people. For Black people are lazy, and this is why you're in this situation. Or we gave too much to Black people, and that's why you're in this situation. So unless you educate them and introduce them to what is actually true, they'll continue to believe that. And I think that's why it's important that you have to talk to people on the other side.
One thing that I think needs to be be put into consideration is the historical analysis of what happened. When the Young Patriots and the Black Panthers coalesced behind, the issues of class, one of the things that was stressed was that the Young Patriots needed to basically eject forms, signs, and signals of white supremacy away from them so that they can truly coalesce around the Black Panthers, which the Young Patriots did. In doing so, you also had some people who were part of the Young Patriots, once that happened, end up leaving the Young Patriots organization because they couldn't wrap their minds around with organizing with people who are Black. That being said, though the trash took itself out. And because the trash took itself out, then they were able to actually have true class solidarity and then push for social change within their respective communities. So it was really them realizing that we're not that much different from each other. And then they take that white supremacy and they toss it out the window, or they're working towards tossing it out the window. Because once you start to realize that we're all basically the same, then you start to realize there's no real reason for superiority just because I have a little less melanin in my skin. And so I think that's also needs to be considered. And the thing is that when it comes to showing people like this, that number one, this is a class issue and that there's more that unites us than divides us. I also want to stress the fact that those of you who are allies who are white, I would like to see you at the forefront of this fight too. And like, Nick has said before, which was very good, don't cut off your racist family members. Teach them that it is more that unites us than divides us. We want you guys to be on the front lines, to be part of that. Because the thing is that some of them just won't listen to us, but they might listen to you. And the thing is, I'm always a fan of turning an enemy into an ally so that we can come together to destroy the ultimate enemy. And so, but at the same time, it's easier said than done. And some of us are not as equipped as others simply because they may look at us and discount what we say. So just saying that.
Go ahead,
I was thinking of, like, I keep on seeing this as the biggest key that we have to turn in the US, which is community building, which is we will get each other's back no matter what, because we know it's clear now who the enemy is. It's getting more and more clear. So we will build community and we will be together and we will be brave enough to go demand what we need because we have community. And that doesn't happen here. Like, you guys were talking and I heard like extremely white areas, people that just hang out in extremely white areas. So you see, even in the lower class, you have like extremely white areas. So poor people are divided too. So like, this is like, it's such a perfect plan. Because divided people are not a threat to nobody. They can tell you tomorrow, we are stealing your money and we don't give a damn. Come get us. And people will sit and watch because they are too afraid. They're not backed up by their community. Even the poor people, oh, come on. Like, and then you have like this poor educational system that is edited by the government for the things that you can and you cannot learn. So propaganda is from birth, right? It's a white Christian wired brain. That's what I observe in America, in US society. Like this brain that is like believing in all the enemies. So I feed you with that figure. Oh, China is coming to steal it from you. Oh, I don't know. Immigrants are bringing in drugs, like Sabi just said. And I raise you in fear, and you are believing that you need me to be your savior, your Jesus, your Superman. And then you vote for me and you allow me to do whatever. And you keep on sitting and watching me betraying you like Joe Biden is doing right now. Not even Trump that's doing that. Like Joe Biden got to power and betrayed everybody in 1.5 years. So like it's happening now because people are just like so in fear and propagandized that they are sitting and watching.
Look at this, guys, and ask yourself what the reason for this. This won't be long, and I'll pass it right to you, CJ. U.S. neighborhoods. God damn, I hate these websites. U.S. neighborhoods are more segregated than a generation ago. Remember what I keep telling you guys? There are people that think we made a lot of advancements, especially white America. White America will swear to God that things are way better than it was in the 60s. We have more segregation. We got higher wealth disparity between white families and black families. We got a rogue police state that essentially implementing their own version of black codes and a new Jim Crow. So I am challenging liberals, white America as a whole. What have changed for us? But sorry, go ahead, CJ. I just want to introduce this last point.
No, that's a great point. Let me just take the time to ask for those likes. Let's like and get some more people. We did jump up to over 130 likes, but let's see if we can get to 175. That'll bring a lot more people in the chat, and then we'll get to those comments. We do see them building up, but let's finally get to the video. We're having a great conversation already without even the main video. We haven't even started on the main video, but this video here, it's about 3 minutes of the video we'll talk about. It's just to get the conversation going and some of the points we can discuss. Let me know when you want to start or stop and start. But when I searched class solidarity, this was actually the top video that came up. So let's listen. Let's listen.
Yesterday, we interviewed this guy who on the inaugural day went to the capital of Michigan and gave this very brief speech. So let's listen to it.
BLM, Antifa, Boogaloo, and right-wing militias.
He says BLM, Antifa, and right-wing militias.
They are the antibodies, not the disease that is destroying our country. The disease is a country run by two corrupt political parties that do not care about you. So deeply incestuous with corporations that they are indistinguishable from each other. A government that spent 6 months debating whether to give their own people $600, but only 24 hours to unanimously agree to give billions of dollars to foreign tyrannical governments and corporations. A government that has bombed villages overseas my entire life for my supposed safety here. This is a call for unity. For all of American people that realize the true threat against us to come together. For every mother mourning children that was killed by police, for every business crushed down by state lockdowns, for every broken soldier sent to fight wars that have no point. This is our last chance to avoid either a tyrannical government or a bloody and pointless civil war among American people who do not have that much against each other and have more in common than they realize. And a message to the government: we come in peace. We do not intend to commit violence, but I am pleading with you, with tears in my eyes and cracks in my voice. If you continue to oppress the American people, they will remain rational no longer. Thank you.
So that guy looked like a right-wing militia guy to me, even though I noticed he was wearing the rainbow flag for the LGBT, and he was talking about unity with Black Lives Matter and Antifa. And I was like, who's that guy? And what does that remind me of? That reminds me of Fred Hampton. That reminds me of 1969 when Black Panthers aligned with Confederate flag-wielding working-class whites. What? Ethnic and racial groups each created their own social services and activist networks to combat every kind of oppression. One was the Young Patriot Organization, the YPO, which was based in hillbilly Harlem, an uptown neighborhood of Chicago, populated by displaced white Southerners. So poor white people from the South came to Chicago.
Just to pause it here, I'm researching the hillbilly, what was it called? The hillbilly, I'm researching that now for a stream to hope to bring it to where all of us can, to bring it to, RBN Live, but I'm researching it just to get all the videos lined up and all the information for all us to kind of deep dive in. So just to get everybody heads up on that.
Chicago, they were also treated horribly. Many YPO members flaunted racist, controversial symbols associated with Southern pride, such as the Confederate flag. But like blacks and Latinos, the white young patriots and their families experienced discrimination in Chicago too. In their case, it was because they were poor and from the South.
It's a commercial. I'll just mute it and let it play, and then we'll go back to the video. There we go.
You see this? Black Panthers, Confederate flag. Do you see this? Do you see this? Eventually, young patriots rejected their deeply embedded ideas of white supremacy. What? What? Eventually, young patriots rejected their deeply embedded ideas of white supremacy.
This is the very point that several of us, we'll go back to the video in a second, but I'll allow everybody that wants to speak about that. Eventually, you just spoke about this, Nick. Eventually, they said, yeah, but it took them seeing. It took the conversations. Does anybody want to speak to that point before we go back to the video?
Yeah, that's why I said if there's a conservative and they wanted to march with Medicare for all for me, that's a great start. That show that you have empathy. You are willing to invest. I mean, we all know how MMT works, right? But let's roll with it. That means they're willing to spend money, so their taxpayer money, so my neighbors, my family member can be taken care of, right? That's a good starting point to have a conversation. And I'm sure many people have bigoted beliefs, right? I believe once we start working towards healthcare and towards our working class, and we can come together and get to know each other, that's when you really start seeing those walls break down, and that's what they don't want us to do, right? So yeah, that's 100%. Like more conversation, because who don't want Medicare for all is who? The liberal class. Right. So I am much more willing to work with some white guy who wants Medicare for all than some black liberal that like, yeah, I actually think we should have private health insurance. I know which choice I'm making all day, every single fucking day. That ain't those choices. So that's the only thing I want to add. I'll pass it back to the panel.
That's a great point. Did anyone else, were you going to say something? Or Joe Senate, go ahead.
So when we were watching the documentary with the Black Panthers talking to the other organizations, I was thinking like they were not online bashing on each other. That's why they were real, because like they were really actually doing something. And all these other organizations, they were doing something for their community too. That's how they got to know about each other, because they were watching, they were doing community watch, they were feeding the community, they were educating, and all these guys in that community over there are doing this. Oh, okay, but we have the same principles, but like they are black, we are white, so we're gonna have to talk about that too. So like these conversations, they came from being serious about the fight.
Mm-hmm. I want to
deeply unserious people will be just like talking back and forth in podcasts. I'm sorry. I think that's.
I want to address this because I also have a larger point I want to make. Like there was when the German immigrants first came, when the Irish immigrants first came, when the Italian immigrants first came, especially in New York, there was a lot of discrimination against them because they was the other. The people who want to divide, they will always find the other. And this is what white nationalists don't understand. So even if they accomplish their fantasy, again, rid of all of us, right? They're gonna be like, look at that redhead motherfucker. Look at that motherfucker with freckles. They always like capitalism, and the people who maintain their power will always trying to find a lower group to marginalize. So I'm not saying their level of discrimination was reached our level and the level of indigenous people, but that's how our society groomed people to do, right? To have favorites, right? But go ahead, JB.
Well, I wanted to also back up your point because there was a discrimination here in Florida, especially Central Florida. Those of you who are in Central Florida know that Black people hated Haitian people when they first arrived here in Florida. Black people considered to be called a Haitian as an insult in Central Florida. People used to be like, oh man, you know, if somebody was uncoordinated in their dress, oh man, you dress like a Haitian. Oh man, you smelling like a Haitian. They used to do that here in Central Florida. Yes, black people used to discriminate heavily against Haitian people. So much so, even when I was in middle school, there was the Haitian kids and the black kids will always be fighting each other because there was this divide. There was this hatred among other black people from a poor country that they have no power and we have no power, but yet somehow, some way, there was this fight against one another. So just to go back to Nick's point, yeah, they will use two groups of disenfranchised people to fight against each other to take the attention off the people at the top.
This is why I choose to put a lot of my focus on these rich liberals, like people like Bill Maher, who continue to virtue signal to Black people on his show, which has a massive audience, and tell us that we should just be happy because Joe Biden has done things like giving us Juneteenth as a holiday, or because we got the first Black Asian vice president that's a woman. Like, those things don't actually do anything for the Black community. And I think from my experience, having lived in the South in conservative areas, living here in Massachusetts in areas that are somewhat liberal, some of them are progressive, my experience, honestly, it has been more difficult with the liberals, the elite liberals, because they are the ones at the end of the day, they don't really want to fight for anything. They don't want real change. They want to say that they're for issues and they support them and that everyone should be equal and treated the same, but they don't want to do anything that is actually going to hurt their economic, status in this country. They're not willing to fight. They're not the ones that want to go out and march in the streets. So, for example, people like Bill Maher, people like Ben Stiller, I see him on Twitter right now meeting with Zelensky. They, when it comes to the class issue, they're not willing to fight for those things. And so a lot of times mainstream media will continue to tell us that it's the right that is our enemy. I would argue that it's rich people that are our enemy, whether they're on the right or if they're liberal, because if you're rich, it really doesn't matter if you're conservative or Democrat, you're still rich. And people who are billionaires, you think they look at each other, you think Bill Gates and what's the Amazon guy's name? I forgot his name. Bezos. Yeah. You think they look at each other and go, oh, are you on the right or the left? No, they don't care. They're rich. No. They have class solidarity. It's working class people and poor people in this country that don't have class solidarity.
Absolutely. And to your point, go ahead.
No, I was just
sorry, no, because of what Sabby said, just to her point about Juneteenth and how I wanted to bring this, it made me think of this video that was posted today where Jimmy Dore actually makes the point also about Juneteenth. So let's listen to this video. It's about 2 minutes.
But you kept talking about economics. That used to be the central conversation on the left, or in America, actually.
Yeah.
Why no more?
Because the establishment has learned how to co-opt identity politics to put the brakes on economic progress and justice. So the joke I do, so if you want to help, I would say if you want to help Black people, nothing would help them more than free college, student loan relief, and Medicare for all, and a living wage. You want to help them? That would be the way to help them. But Joe Biden comes in, does none of those things, but he makes Juneteenth the holiday. So do you understand what I'm talking about?
Oh, I do understand.
So it's all signals, but there's no substance. We're signaling that we want to help the minority community, but we're not actually helping them. So that's what identity politics is. It's a big diversion. And the joke I say, if it was 1860, the Democrats would be bragging about their first transgendered slave owner. And so what I'm trying to tell people is that when you vote for them, when you vote for somebody inside the Democratic Party, no matter what they say, no matter what they believe, they're going to go along with Nancy Pelosi. And Nancy Pelosi goes along with Goldman Sachs and Raytheon. So when you're voting for someone inside the Democratic Party, you're voting for Goldman Sachs and Raytheon because they are not standing up to those people. So the idea that we have progressives inside the Democratic Party, it's actually more deleterious to the progressive movement to have them there. Why is that, Jimmy? Because it gives people a false impression that there's somebody in government fighting for you, that there's one of the parties that are kind of on your side, and they aren't. And the quicker people realize that both parties are not on their side, they only serve the oligarchy. We are in fact in an oligarchy. Your democracy was stolen way before Trump. Until that happens, we won't ever have real change.
But what about Ocasio-Cortez? She's on Instagram.
Ocasio-Cortez campaigned on a floor vote on Medicare for all. And she campaigned on creating what she called a ruckus, meaning you have to stop being polite. This is a quote. You have to stop being polite. We tried being polite, and it got us nowhere. And it wasn't until we started acting out and speaking impolitely that we even created the circumstances for change. That's what she tweeted. So I'm just doing what she said. So I started to put heat on people like AOC and
Absolutely. So to your point, Sabby, I played that video. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, so this is what people like Tucker tries to do, and I love that Jimmy corrected the record there. And if you guys haven't seen that whole interview, check it out, because there are a lot of people who think that Jimmy never challenged Tucker. If you watch that interview, there's a point where they started talking about capitalism and economics, and Jimmy dismantles him, like, and he openly disagreeing with them. And that is what people who like say, oh, Jimmy just want to get close to Tucker and they don't watch the interview. Like, watch that interview. They had a lot of disagreements there. But this is something that right-wingers want to do, right? So what Jimmy described is perfect. How liberals will use identity politics to distract from class issues. That is not what the left does, though. And that's what that's what Jimmy highlighting. When you look at the left, us, Jimmy, right? We want to materially improve the conditions of Black and brown people. Liberals want to virtue signal and have identity politics, representation politics, right? So what right-wingers will do, and this drives me crazy, is they will lump the liberal version of identity politics with the left version of identity politics. And I love the fact that Jimmy corrected the record there, because I keep doing it. Like, the way that Kamala Harris, the way that Lloyd Austin use identity politics, is completely different than the way we use it here. But I see the right often they try to connect those two, because a lot of them are anti-worker and they don't want people to make that connection. But I'll pass back to Penn. I just love that point he's making. We gotta keep making it. Like,
no, but this is
we are for it. But go ahead, CJ.
No, what I was gonna say to your point and to everybody's point, like, identity politics only matters if said identity actually represents the difference. Like, for example, if we have a bunch of Black, let's say we have 5 Black women, but they all grew up rich, they all went to Harvard, like, them being representatives of people like us, that's not a representative of us. So it's been co-opted. So the original idea of identity politics was because it was so connected that your race meant your educational background and your economic background was different. It was almost synonymous. But now we're just putting the bourgeoisie in those roles. They put in the Kamala Harris's in those roles, the Obamas, who are educated in these same schools in the same sort of corrupted way. So it's not the same. So if you have somebody like, identity politics is negated if it doesn't come with it doesn't come with a different background, a different representation of your background, of your educational background, of your economic background. Go ahead. I think you were going to talk to Joseph.
I'm not going to deny what you're saying. And that's why it irritates me that Jimmy uses the term identity politics
instead
of saying how the Democrats co-opt
the speech.
Yes. No. I feel the same way.
Today, the thing like the Democrats are like co-opting, calling themselves, right, Sabby, grassroots. Like, They get the words that people are used in a country where education does not support critical thinking. We know that already about the US. And then people hear the words and they're like, oh, this is the left. And they hear the other one, oh, this is the right. And then Democrats
It's
go
being
like,
misused. It's completely being misused. And I hate that too. Jimmy does it. And it's because we're lazy with language as Americans. We're lazy with language instead of saying the full thing. Because identity politics have been co-opted, then finish. He just uses the word identity politics without making that
because I'm here, ready to slap him back when he's like,
I get it. No, I thought the
like,
same
sit
thing.
here with me, Grandpa. Let's talk.
Yeah.
Go ahead, JB. Go ahead, JB.
It's just like with the term woke, right? Everybody, a lot of people on the right will say, "Oh, we're woke," and it's like, no. What the Democratic Party has done was that they perverted the actual term and meaning of woke. Woke for us means socially conscious. That's what it means. And the thing is, intellectually conscious. So with that, thank you, Nick. But the thing is that what we're doing is, are we woke? Hell yeah. But the thing is, we're trying to be woke in the way that it was originally intended by Black people. So therefore, this is what woke really means. Woke also means taking away the white supremacist structures that are embedded within our government, the white supremacist structures that are in policing, the white supremacist structures that are in all these parts that also are a detriment to poor whites, because white supremacy also is detrimental to you. And so this is one of the things that being woke, truly woke, not the Democratic perversion of the word woke, really means. And so, you have a lot of people and on the upper echelons of society that are on the right that try to use it to demonize people who look like us, right? This beautiful rainbow of Black people you see before you on your television screen. Make sure to put out a like. But the thing is that that's what we represent. And the thing is, they want to demonize people that look like us, or people who have strong accents like Josana, right? They'll say, "Oh no, she's coming here to steal your job," when motherfucker, at the top is the one that took your job away in the first place and then gave it to somebody in another land, only to exploit them and pay them pennies on the dollar. So the thing is that, are we woke? Yes. Are we woke in the right ways and the ways that originated? Yes. Is the Democratic Party woke? No. In fact, they are anti-woke. They're anti-Black. They are anti-poor. They're anti, they are
everything.
Everything. I remember growing up, like, being a kid, right? And like being woke was a good thing. Like you said, like being conscious. It's being intellectual. Now think about how anti-intellectual our society is. That they took something as positive as being conscious and intellectual, being woke. Yeah. They're like, that's negative. Be a fucking dumbass. Follow some celebrities, damn it. Watch WWE. Watch reality television. Shut the fuck up. Stop reading books. You fucking woke. What do you think, you woke? This is how dumb our society became. And anyone who, like, I would just need that conversation with people I see here repeat that. Like, stop allowing the conservatives and capitalists to hijack the language of Black people, because that is what they are doing.
Yes. I was going to say, just to give you an example, Hillary Clinton had an interview a couple of days ago where she said the Democratic Party should not focus on activist actions. So Hillary Clinton, again, she's a part of a different class. And a lot of times you'll see on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, they're not actually talking to working class people. They're not talking to poor people. And unfortunately, even in left independent media, when do you see them have working class people on? Right. And before people say, oh, well, Chris Smalls, that was a lot for a lot of them. That was after Chris Smalls won. That was after he won for a lot of them. But they're not talking to working class people. So when I see, again, Bill Maher when I see someone like Bill Maher talking about, well, how do you think working class people and poor people feel to a panel of people that are all rich It's hilarious to me. Why don't you talk to people that are a part of that class so you get the real story, the real deal? And they're not going to do that because they don't want you to hear the real struggles that those groups are actually going through.
All right.
And it's like it's the same thing as Hillary. People criticizing Hillary Clinton, and I did too, and I do every day. I hate her ass. But people criticizing her to be talking, making a speech about poverty in a 25K or 2.5K jacket or suit. Like, how can you talk to working class? Your ass never been. How can you know what we need?
She literally had slaves, guys. She had literally servants when the Clinton was the governor of Arkansas. Look it up. Type in Clinton slaves. They were literally caught using slave labor in their governor's mansion. But go ahead, CJ.
I'm just gonna continue with the video. He does makes a couple of more points in this article, and then we can stop the stream and continue with the conversation and rest. So let's just let a couple more minutes here.
It's rejected their deeply embedded ideas of white supremacy and even dropped the Confederate flag as they realized how much they had in common with the Black Panthers and Latino youth lords. Despite many differences, the groups united under the umbrella of economic justice. So that's a class struggle. That's Black Panthers and white racists coming together to realize their common enemy and their common struggle, their class struggle. And guess what they did? They immediately killed those guys. That scares the hell out of the establishment. That's what scares them. This scares them. And that gentleman I brought on my show was pro Black Lives Matter. He was pro LGBTQ. He was anti-ICE. He was anti-war, and he was anti both parties and the corporate takeover of our country. And so I brought on this guy. He's supposed to be a socialist from the World Socialist website because they were covering a strike. He was brought on to talk about a strike that they were covering. And that guy sounded, you're going to hear what he sounds like, and it's horrible. Now, I think they do a lot of great work over at the World Socialist website. We feature their work here all the time, but you're going to see how they're misguided and why they're bound to lose because they have no idea how to reach out to people who are aligned with themselves ideologically. He has no idea how to reach out to that guy. That guy who I...
That video is not the point, so we don't have to let him go continue, but you get the point of the article. And if you go and read that article, I think it's on the conversation, I think is the name of the apparatus that it comes, or the place that writes the article is the conversation. It goes in depth about what happened, and it talks about it. So your thoughts?
So yeah, that's I think what Jimmy went to explain was the brain rot of the people on top who would tell you, because I remember he was telling people, if you have a poor white person, and what is your message to them? Like, do you have a way to win them over? And a lot of people will say no. Like, we gotta learn how to bring people together. I think that was the final point that he was making, but. I don't have much else to add to that. If anyone else.
But I mean, so let me just ask this question. Josana, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just thinking about the perfection of the system, because the left in the US sounds to me it's a ridiculous, it could be a good term, but it's not so good to use. But the left in the US sounds like what we call in Brazil the high heels left, that they like bourgeoisie left, they like neoliberal left, which is actually right winger, but because like the system keeps a poor person in the US just right on the, not anymore, but used to, right, just right on the edge of poverty. But you have a roof, you have like food. It's not happening anymore. It used to. So then people are not radicalized by the true necessity of like hunger. Like, if I don't fight you, motherfucker, I am not going to eat. My stomach is empty for months. Like, I have nothing to eat, so I radicalize. Here, no. Here, people are kept right on the edge so they can be, like, I don't know, controlled.
Unless you have anything else to ask, I have a story to cover. Unless you have something else.
I didn't have anything to add on the story. I did have a question. Let me wrap up this topic.
Yeah, go ahead. No rush.
Yeah, let me wrap up this topic with this question, because or a statement, and I'll just get everybody's opinion on it. So what I'm finding hard, or I think we all are running into this, and we're hearing comments here and there, is that leftists are not really about class struggle. I mean, class solidarity. They are about ideology solidarity and then class struggle from that point.
Yeah.
So I feel like RBN will be one of a handful of channels, a handful of people, organizations that's trying to get this message online. But like Josana was speaking to earlier, the way the message is spread best is on the ground. Doing the work that the Black Panthers did. That's why they had the trust of the community to be able to do things like this, to be able to say, hey, yes, they're former racists, but let's go team up with them to go fight this class struggle. They were able to build that a sort of trust. So but I guess the question and the comment is, it is such a hard task to. This is probably the top 3 issues with the left, along, there's other issues, but this issue is one of them, is that the understanding of class and class solidarity is not there. It's a complete, and sometimes the explanation of them not being there is a complete misuse of the understanding of what happened in history, the complete misuse of the understanding of what happened with the Young Patriots. I just don't I don't get that, because class struggle literally means, or class solidarity literally means, everything other than your class is secondary. So any other issue you have with another person is secondary than the thing that unites us, which is the class.
I think,
let me just finish with this point. I just think people think, like, so this is my idea. You have the class issue first, where you fight the bigger oppressor, and then once that is completed, then you can go back to, you're against abortion, you're against this. Now let's democratically figure this out through whatever system comes after the revolution. But I'm just saying, like, there has to be a breaking of the person who's oppressing all of us first. Go ahead, Sabrina.
I think part of the problem is because the whole like left or progressive movement has been led by elite white people, especially in the space. They are the ones who led the movement. It started with TYT, right? Justice Democrats and Secular Talk, like those two coming together, starting with Justice Democrats. But if you look at most of the large platforms in the space, that's who has been leading the narrative, and that's who's been leading the discussion. They're good on some issues, but what I do want to say is that they're more so like reformist. They're not revolutionary. That's the problem. Like, they're not working class. They're not poor. Most of them have never been working class, have never been poor. They're comfortable. And some of them have made millions during like Bernie's campaigns. So now they're at a point where they can just kind of fall back and say, okay, well, if people want to organize on the ground, let the activists handle that stuff. Well, we're not gonna go in that direction. And this is why that push to start some type of a third party that was supposed to happen as a part of Justice Democrats. This is why that never took off, because that requires more work. So at the end of the day, and this is not to, I guess, talk down on people who are wealthy, But from my experience, having gone to school with a lot of wealthy people, from my experience, very few of them are willing to stick it through. When it comes to doing the labor and the work, they might be there in the beginning, but as soon as it gets too tough, the majority of them will bail out. That's why we don't have it. That's why we didn't have this third party movement. I know there's MPP, but that's not even a party. Like, this is why that did not take off. And they totally relied on that Justice Democrat strategy, which has been a complete failure. Now, what are they doing? Now they're attacking the same class of people, working class people and poor people, that they said those Justice Democrats are supposed to be fighting for.
Right.
So
that's great.
This has been a failure. And I recommend like talking to Zeneb about this. She's on my women's panel every month. She used to work with Justice Democrats. So she told me the whole story. So before that money came in, before they were going to take that money, how they switched their plan, they changed their narrative. They decided to do something completely different. The biggest mistake I think they made was taking billionaire money, letting George Soros bring money in. It's nothing now. It's nothing. And you can tell you don't feel, where's that excitement around these candidates that are running this year that are Justice Democrats? It's not there. None of these people are passionate. They're not inspirational. I'm sorry. I've interviewed some of these people over a year ago. It's gone. So I think they never really mobilized the people. They only got the people out to vote. They didn't get the people out to do the work on the ground. And so now it's like they're angry at the people who have been on the ground and are working class and are poor, who are telling them, listen, what happened to this fight? What happened to the push for Medicare for all? Why has nothing has changed? Why aren't you saying something to these politicians who some of them are friends with and have access to? And they're continuing to make excuses for them. So no, you cannot get on camera and mobilize working class and poor people and telling them we need to do this strategy so that you can get the tangibles that you need in your life. And then now you want to shit on them because your plan did not work and they're angry at you. So that's the problem. It needs to be led by people who are working class, poor, and even at this point, due to inflation in the economy, even middle class. But wealthy people cannot lead it. Not from my experience, they can't.
Absolutely. That's a great point. Were you next, JB? Were you going to say something?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So as far as one of the points that you made, none of the people who were the de facto leaders were revolutionary. Name one of the de facto leaders that's actually anti-capitalist. I'll wait. You can't name one who, especially those of us, them on the legacy left and independent media, they're not anti-capitalist. And you can say, oh, well, they're democratic socialists. That's still capitalist. You can say social democrat. That's still capitalist. You can say that. And the thing is that, guess what? They don't see the issues with capitalism. They just want guardrails. And so with that, we're at a point right now where really the people who are the most disenfranchised really need to be the people that actually leads the movement. One of the reasons why is because we know what it's like to be on the bottom. And so therefore, the best type of country is one that takes care of the most disenfranchised among them. The thing is that we do not have a movement that is led by the most disenfranchised among us. And so for that reason, then the most disenfranchised among us do not get any attention. How many people who are disabled in this space that you know, besides me and Savage Joy and Kim Brown? How many people? How many people that you know that are really big that don't have an elite education and that aren't in the academic space that are Black? How many people do you know in this space? How many people do you know that you can count that are outside, that are working, on an outside pressure, that are extremely disenfranchised, that are not famous from being an academic or being wealthy? See, this is the issue. And I spoke with this on Jordan Cheriton. Like, for instance, there is a class divide on the left. And so, therefore, that class divide is also what's detrimental to us. Now, are there class traders? Yes, but those class traders need to move to the side and let the people who are disenfranchised lead the movement. Reason being is because your class, your mentality is going to skew the way the direction the movement goes. The thing is that the movement needs to go in the direction for those of us that are at the bottom, and it needs to come and lift us up. Because if you're going to continue to keep that up, you know, like for instance, you have some of these people that they got net worths of millions of dollars, like they do not have the sense of urgency that we do. And because of that, then they are going to sit on their hands, and every single 2 to 4 years, this is the most important election of our lifetime. We need to just vote more Democrats because they are the best possible choice that we have to defeating fascism, without realizing that we've probably been we have been in a fascist country for at least the last 40 years. I've already come to that conclusion. So that's the point. You gotta take the people who are at the bottom. You can start by having RBN on your shows. I invite you to bring Sabby, Josana, Nick, CJ, and Rome on. You guys don't even have to have me on. You don't have to have me on. Bring them on and have a conversation with them, and let them and let them educate you on why the sense of urgency is lacking within the left. Because, like Sabby said last night, we don't have a left here in the United States. In the South American countries, they got a left. Oh, they got a left. Josana, my homegirl, she can attest to that. They got a left. We don't have one. And we also need to listen to people who are from the South American countries, people like Josana, because they can educate us on what really to do within our own countries. We got to listen.
JV said that these people he said these people are capitalists. They're fucking imperialists too.
Yes, which is worse. Let me pause here for a light check. Just doing a light check, and then I'll pass it. I think Josana was going to say something. Please, everybody, go and like the stream. Last time I checked, we were at 260. We can get to 300. Let's push to 300. 300 likes. That'll get more people here. More eyes. More people will see this on the on the replay. It'll come up in their notifications. So like this stream. Also, I forgot to do this. Subscribe to our Substack to make sure you get notifications of streams like this, and any future stream you'll get a heads up, just in case you don't get that notification on YouTube. And then, as always, scrolling at the bottom, our Patreon. If you're able to support monthly, Patreon is the best way. We have several different tiers for those to donate, and then we also still have our fundraiser. I'll give the monetary updates on how much we've gotten, but the goal is 10,000, and I think we're just about at 1,500. So I'll give an updated amount in just a little bit. And back to the topic. I think you were going to talk, Josana. Was it you that were going to say something? No. All right, then I'll pass it to you, Nick. You had some other topics. We are going to get to the election of the new Colombian president and the VP. We'll be speaking about Miss Marquez in just a little bit, but let's pass it to Nick for his story.
Before you pass to Nick, I regret saying no. I just want to say thank you, JV and Sammy, for saying these things about me, but also being able to listen to the struggle that is imposed by this country in our homes every day. And to be quite honest, there is a photo that shows all the presidents that are falling in South America. The only one that's missing is Bolsonaro. And we want to invite our relatives of the North to go in this train with us, Y'all do not need to be by yourselves. Like, no one is a hero. Stop that. If you stop that shit first, you're stopping you're already doing half of the job. Like, be able to open up yourself, because imperialism is in your veins, because that's your culture, So you have to see yourself and like really, really do the work of like, can I be in a team? Because this fight is won by everybody. Not there's no boss, no leader, no.
To speak to your imperialism thing, like the Americans watch the stream I did on propaganda, the science behind propaganda, and they talk about how propaganda is meant not to directly say, hey, go out and buy this. It's to create the conditions for you on your own to believe you need that. Right? So how do you sell Americans on imperialism and don't call it imperialism? You call it freedom. You create a bunch of movies. You have Tom Cruise jumping off of mountains, and it's America at the end. He killed a bunch of people. You notice they don't even acknowledge them. They're telling jokes in between killing people. That's all to get you conditioned to the eye that it's even possible that you can go to war for peace. Do you understand how that propaganda conditions you to think that there is even a possibility? That's ridiculous that the military can spread peace. Just wanted to insert that.
Bombing for peace.
The ideology, go ahead, nigga.
The ideology of the neoliberal class. That's a great transition. Yeah. So I don't think the story should be long. Maybe I know we want to get to the vice president of Colombia as well. But I saw a video, and I want to talk about. I want to put the segment together to show you guys how insane the neoliberal class. That honestly, like, they are cheerleading every single war. So there's a guy named Max Boot. Max Boot is a Washington Post columnist, right? And this man has never found a war that he did not like. He was supportive of the Iraq War. He wrote a column in the Washington Post where he was saying, once we invade Iraq, we will be treated as liberators. He said, once we get rid of Gaddafi, that we can have a more stable Africa because he's a dictator. How that happened? How that worked? Right? He was cheerleading the dismantling of Syria, and I am not exaggerating here, guys. Every single negative foreign policy decision that the United States has made in his career, at least since the Iraq War, he has supported. So I'm not gonna prefix the story too much, because I know we got a lot of stuff to cover. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys this video and listen to this unhinged nonsense that MSNBC allowed on his cable, on their channel, on their TV show, whatever, without any rebuke, without any challenging. Now check this out. This is Max Boot here. Look at this. Oh wait, sorry.
It's absolutely essential. And I think the key here is we have to understand that we're making a mistake in the way that we think about the war, because we keep thinking about it as their war. The Ukrainians are fighting. We need to think about it as our war. Putin is waging war on the West. He is trying to destroy the rules-based international order that we Americans, we Europeans, we all stand for this. This is a direct threat to all of us. And we need to understand this is not a foreign aid project. This is not charity. This is self-defense. This is the front line of freedom right here in the Donbass. The Ukrainians are fighting and dying for all of us. We need to step up. And to echo what Ed Luce was saying, it is unacceptable that right now the Ukrainians are being outgunned 10-1 in artillery. 10-1. They are losing over 100 soldiers a day. The United States has not seen those kinds of losses since World War II. The Ukrainians are willing to fight. They are willing to die. They are defending their land. They are standing up to one of the most evil dictators in the world, but they don't have the weapons they need to get the job done. They have just enough to prevent a Russian victory, but they don't have enough to defeat the Russians, to win for Ukraine. And that is unacceptable. All of us need to step up. The Europeans in particular, as Joe suggested, because they are doing less than we are. But we need to step up too. We're not providing Gray Eagle drones that the Ukrainians need. We're not providing as many multiple launch rocket systems as they need. All of us collectively can be and should be doing more, because we need to understand this is our fight that the Ukrainians are on the front lines of.
So there's so much to break down there. I want to give you guys thought, but you guys see this weird dichotomy that he's doing. there's this economy where he's trying to pretend the Ukrainians can win, while at the same time saying that we're not giving them enough weapons. Because he said, like, yeah, the Ukrainians already got enough to win, but we got to make sure we got to send more weapons. So the point I want to make, and I want to get your guys' thoughts, I got a few more things to quickly share on this story. The role of cable news is to sell weapons. Are we clear? They get paid from Raytheon, Boeing, and weapon defense contractors. And I used to sell cars. I know what selling look like. I know what a sales pitch is. That motherfucker went on TV, and he saw how he started mentioning bombs by name. We need javelins. We need he started naming all these weapons off, like almost as if like Raytheon, like, yo, we need to sell more of these. We need to sell more of these. So they were there just to sell arms, right? But do anyone want to react before I move to the next part of the story?
Yeah, that video, man, that was the first time I actually watched it all the way through. It is completely naked. Like the connection, that the jump he's making, Nick and Savvy and Josiah and JB, the jump he's making from how he's trying to sell this as our war. Like you said, your sales, I've been in sales for 12 years, selling cell phones. So I've been in sales for 12 years. That's a complete sales pitch, but it's a bad sales pitch because he's what he's trying to do is he's trying to sell you, create value. He's creating the value. The value he's creating is by saying, look, 100 lives there. Look at all this stuff that's happened. He's creating the value for the people he's trying to sell weapons for. That's what he's doing. So you would have come into my shop. I'm going to create the value. Oh, you got kids? Don't you want to get kids text, right? You got to get a text plan because kids don't pick up phones no more. They only text, right? That's how I would sell text plans. It's creating value that the person don't know is even there, right? Just got to keep. That's my point about that. The propaganda was so naked there.
Yeah, and you guys know the balance. That's the funniest thing in that video to me, the balancing act of him playing. Like, well, yeah, technically Ukraine can still win, but they getting destroyed, right? Yeah. But I know, Savvy, I know you probably got to head out soon. Anything you want to add? Any last thing that you want to shout out? Because I know you got to get going there soon.
Yeah, just that Colin from Indie News Network, he's going to come on and join me for a little bit tonight because Jamal Bowman actually gave a speech. Colin's a teacher, for those who are not aware. And Jamal Bowman came to this group, this organization that Colin's a part of for teachers in the DC area. And he gave a speech and Colin recorded it. And so we're going to talk about that tonight because it's really interesting. You have someone there in Congress and he's basically telling the people that we have to do the work. Those
Jamal
of us on the outside, we have to do the work. Yeah. So he's going to come on tonight and talk about that because it just proves like what we've been saying, like you have to do it on the outside, that they're not going to do it for you on the inside. So,
yeah, make sure you guys check that out. I want to get last thoughts from Savvy before I move on to the next part. But there's another angle. There's so many angles to that. I'm trying to figure out which one I should go with first. Cause those was an unhinged speech. So I actually want to play it again because it's not a long video. So let's watch the video one more time, and then I'm gonna go to the next part of what I want to share in the story. Because there's so many, like the propaganda, every single line, and me and CJ talk about this all the time. Like they don't go on MSNBC and wing it. Like they like, oh, let me just think about what I don't feel like saying. Every single line is placed for a reason. And I want you guys to think about this as we watch this for the final time, and I'll move to the next part of what I'm going to cover on this.
It's absolutely essential. And I think the key here is we have to understand that we're making a mistake in the way that we think about the war because we keep thinking about it as their war. The Ukrainians are fighting. We need to think about it as our war. Putin is waging war on the West. He is trying to destroy the rules-based international order that we Americans, we Europeans, we all stand for this. This is a direct threat to all of us, and we need to understand this is not a foreign aid project. This is not charity. This is self-defense. This is the front line of freedom right here in the Donbass. The Ukrainians are fighting and dying for all of us. We need to step up. And to echo what Ed Luce was saying, it is unacceptable that right now the Ukrainians are being outgunned 10-1 in artillery, 10-1. They are losing over 100 soldiers a day. The United States has not seen those kinds of losses since World War II. The The Ukrainians are willing to fight.
You know what's the funniest thing is, like, this is the order that it felt like he was going to say, like, this is the order that we like, and Russia is trying to destroy it, so now we're going to bomb you. Like, it's
the rules-based order that imprisons 1/4 of the world's prison population, the rules-based order that funding multiple apartheid states and genocides, is that what you talking about, Max? So I don't even have to debunk the ridiculousness of what he's saying. For one, the idea that Vladimir Putin is the most dangerous dictator in the world. Guys, Vladimir Putin's kill count is lower than Joe Biden and Barack Obama by orders of magnitude. Like, it's not even close. I'm talking about like literally 10 times, 100 times less than Barack Obama and Joe Biden Vladimir Putin has killed. But according to him, have a good one, Sabby. Have a good show too. Make sure you guys check her out. But also, I want to show you guys. I want to finish. Actually, I don't have to. Yeah, let's finish it because he got cut off. I know why he got cut off. I'm saving that. Trying to say that part for later. Sorry, let me fix my audio because there was a glitch. Let's continue. I'll play at half point.
Are being outgunned 10-1 in artillery. 10-1. They are losing over 100 soldiers a day. The United States has not seen those kinds of losses since World War II. The Ukrainians are willing to fight. They are willing to die. They are defending their land. They are standing up to one of the most evil dictators in the world, but they don't have the weapons they need to get the job done. They have just enough to prevent a Russian victory, but they don't have enough to defeat the Russians too.
If they have enough to stop a Russian victory, why do we need to send them more weapons, Max? You smooth brain idiot. He's like, yeah, the Ukrainians, because you see, remember what I told you guys, the media has to present the idea that Ukrainians are winning or have a chance at winning so they can secure them more arms. And so people don't ask questions like, why the fuck are we funding this proxy war when they don't have a chance? But at the same time, he had to pretend that, oh my God, the situation is so dire. That's why we need some more weapons. But they can still win, right? And another point. Go ahead, JB. Go ahead, JB.
I just want to say in response to the Q-tip with glasses, I said rules-based. Rules doesn't mean anything if you're always violating international law. The U.S. always violates the rules, meaning that ain't that convenient coming from this guy. Like, if you want to talk about rules, you need to look at Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Barack Obama, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, Ronald Reagan. You need to talk to all of them. But he doesn't want to talk to all of them because he somehow thinks that the United States is superior in every way, shape, and form, when in reality, the United States is really the empire. And like Darth Vader is right now running it right now. Well, he's not. Actually, that's an insult to Darth Vader. I'm sorry. But still, you know what I mean?
So, once again, there's so many. This is only a 90-second clip that I can break down so many different ways. But I'm gonna turn to one of my favorite writers, Caitlin Johnstone, because look at what Max said. That the United States and the West was not saying when the conflict first started. Remember how they was like, this is not a proxy war. We're just supporting the Ukrainians in their fight for sovereignty. Now he is openly saying that this is our war with Russia. These people are cheering on World War III. Now look at this. I love this tweet by Caitlin Johnstone. Look at this. It's on the date. This is coming from the liberal class that was promoting Ukraine. Look, this is April 30th. She said, anyone claiming that the U.S. is fighting a proxy war against Russia is trying to deny Ukrainians agency. This is not a proxy war. This is a war against total annihilation of a country in a war genocide. So cut it out with that Kremlin talking point. That was in April and I remember this in early May when the war first started. They was like, guys, we're not fighting a war because they know Americans don't like war. Now look, this is May 3rd. Is this clear enough? Seth Moulton, Dem Rep. We're fundamentally at war through somewhat of a proxy with Russia. So this is when they slowly started to acknowledge what this situation really is. June 20th, 2022. And this is what Max tweet You guys see how this is the standard operation procedure. This is not new. They call it mission creep. So remember when Barack Obama said, "Oh, we're gonna pull out of Afghanistan," right? But then he was like, "I'm gonna pull out of Afghanistan, but we gotta make sure we secure this area." They kept mission creeping until they stayed the entire time. They are doing the same thing with Ukraine war, where they were like, "All right, let's provide funds, let's provide arms, let's show solidarity with Ukraine," and then it went, "Oh, we find a proxy war with Russia. Who knows what this shit gonna look like in a few months, right?" So I simply said, and this is the reason why the video got cut off. Well, I explained in my tweet that once you realize that corporate media is here to act as a salesman for the arms industry, these segments make sense. And I also replied to him that you should stop advocating for bombing for peace and just advocate for peace. And you guys want to know his reaction to that? I told this dude, fucking advocate for peace. He was like, blocked. You guys see how unhinged these people are? The message that coming from the pro-Ukrainian side. And let's see, how we doing on time? Yeah, we had 30-minute mark. So I'm gonna share this one part, and I'll probably get more into detail later. Because I know I gotta save some time for the other segment. This is from H.R. McMaster. Now these are fucking. He's like a former military general. Max Boot writes for the Washington Post. So these are the most unhinged voices, but they are the voices that shape policy. These are the people that the ruling classes listen to. Check this out. I may cover this more later tonight because I'm gonna have Zoya and Delilah on. They say U.S. restraint has created an unstable and dangerous world. U.S. restraint.
Restraint? What?
The country have 800 military bases that launched a CIA cyber attack into Russia before this whole conflict even started. The people that literally destabilized the entire Middle East, H.R. McMaster, who is someone they listen to all the time in the establishment, is saying the United States restraint is what making things. Look, it said decades of ignoring the menaces posed by Russia and China has led the West to a precipice. I might actually dive into this. I know we're running a long time, but I might dive into this with Zoya a little bit more. But you guys see the mindset that comes from these extremists? Like, these are the most extreme, evil people in the world, period. Anyone have any thoughts on that? I think we can. I'll wrap my stuff on. Any thoughts, guys?
Wait, restraint?
The article is even more ridiculous. The article is so ridiculous.
I'm gonna make this is gonna be a very dark prediction. I think within the next 2 years, the United States is going to use a nuclear weapon again on a population. This is precedent. There's precedence to this because the United States has already done it. And the thing is that since you have maniacs like this who are pushing U.S. policy, it's going to happen within the next 2 years. Watch. And the thing is that is going to be a powder keg. It may not be against any one of us, but it's going to be against the civilian population. I think it's really going to happen. And the thing is
they always
that
say they can win a nuclear war. They always saying, "Oh, we can win a nuclear war."
We all lose. Oh.
So
we all lose in a nuclear. These are genocidal maniacs. They're going to destroy us all, bro. I'm telling you, I almost got out of my chair. You want to see some clips of the article? I now remember. I did. Let me mute myself.
So, hold on, Xavier, I'll get your thoughts. I want to show you that. I didn't want to go through the whole article. I just now remember I actually did post snippets of it on Twitter because it's a long article. I'm gonna show you guys some of the most unhinged parts. I didn't read the whole thing. I read like maybe 1/3, and I was like, all right, I've seen everything I need to see. So this is like from 1/3 of the article. I put these parts out. So I'm gonna read these last 2 parts, and we can move on to the next part, right? After your guys' thoughts. Listen to this. Deterrence, however, does not disintegrate overnight. Contrary to the narrative of U.S. belligerence and imperialism that has been impressed on countless university students, the United States has, since the end of World War II, largely pursued a policy of restraint, despite its considerable military power. Now, do you guys see why I say the United States is the most propagandized country? They just print these lies as fact. But anyway, let me continue. Unlike other superpowers, they have not sought territories or treasure.
So we literally
wait a minute. Wait one fucking minute. Beep, back up the motherfucking truck. Are you? Yo.
Let me read it again. JB, let me read it again. I want to get your thoughts. I'm gonna read it one more time. It just
Go
so
ahead,
you guys
go
can hear
ahead,
this
go ahead.
shit.
Go ahead.
It says, unlike other superpowers, it has not sought territories or treasure. On the contrary, it occurred considerable expense to foster a peaceful international order. You know how we literally created terrorist cells. We funded and armed Al-Qaeda, and we destabilized the Middle East in Africa, in many places in Africa, let me say, right? But this guy is saying we created a peaceful international order, JB.
Bruh. Like for real. CJ, Josana, are you hearing this right now?
Yeah.
This is the most stupid, idiotic, vapid argument. It is completely devoid of actual historical analysis. You remember what I said, I think it was last week? I said those who do not study history are doomed to repeat it. They are literally fucking repeating history as we speak, to the point where they will destroy us all. These people are going to destroy every single person you love and every single person you care about, because they want to just rule the world. And if they can't rule it, then they will destroy it by any means necessary. This is some fucked up shit. And don't tell me that, Nick.
There's one more part I'll cut out.
Oh my God.
So look at this. Look at this part right here. And this is why I said this is the most unhinged articles I ever read, and not even close. I am not putting a qualifier on it. This is the worst article I ever read in my life. Look at this. However, the restraint was not reciprocated. I always struggle with that word. As the United States reduced its defense spending to the lowest share of GDP since 1940, Russia and China embarked on the largest military modernization and expansion programs their countries have seen in generations. They bullied their neighbors, or in Russia's case, attacked and occupied them, corroded the institutions they joined, and sought to eliminate their citizens' liberties. The U.S. restraint was interpreted as weakness. Ignoring these menaces has now led the West to the most dangerous precipice. And this is my simple response. But I think all you guys were thinking this, right? So this person was arguing that Russia and China is militaristic, and that posed a threat to the rules-based order of the world, right? But who has 800 military bases? China has like 2. We are surrounding Russia and China with military bases. The United States spend more on the next country than the next countries combined on their military, and it's not even close. But according to this person, the United States tried to be peaceful, but Russia and China had the audacity to increase the military.
Hold
What
up.
you guys thought?
Hang on. Before that, I want to address this. I hope you're being very sarcastic right now. I really, really hope you're being sarcastic right now.
There's only one country
because there's only one country that actually nuked Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and that was the United States. It is precedent. They have done it before. I hope you're being sarcastic right now. I'm just saying.
Some people learn history at a different pace than others. I know history is hard. But that's, if anyone want to add to that to the segment, that segment's pretty much wrap. Anyone else want to discuss?
No, I think we can wrap it so we can bring up the Colombian election.
I just don't understand why people are not on the streets doing an anti-war protest. That's why whenever the Ukrainian war subject comes up, I'm like, oh, we dig, or whatever is the past for this verb, everything we could. Everybody knows what this is about, but I don't know. Sorry. Whatever.
All right, so no worries. I do have a video from Teleserb to just briefly play about the election in Colombia. So let's play that, and then we'll comment on the other side here. Now you may have to translate it. Josana. But I mean, the video it sells itself. You don't really, but if need be, if you didn't want to say something, you can go ahead.
Do you want to pause and I translate? Sorry.
Actually,
I can, sure.
Actually, CJ, just mute the volume and let the video play.
Yeah, and then I'll let you speak as you want
mute
to
the video.
speak, Josana. So I'll mute it.
But if you want me to translate, we need to pause.
Sure, we can translate.
Because I won't remember everything in the video. Sorry.
Sure.
It's COVID and I smoke weed, so like.
So this first, can you translate this first part? Or can you see that first?
The elected vice president of Colombia, Francia Marquez.
Yeah, just keep the video playing because it usually stays up for a while. So just Josana reading it.
Thanked all the Colombians, male and female, because it's gendered language, that gave their life for this moment. And during her first address to the public, to the people, during her first address to the public, all the people, luego de conocerse los primeros, right when they learned for the first time that they won, and the scrutiny of the second, they had to go in a second round, the scrutiny of having to go in a second round. The lawyer and activist remembered in her speech all social activist leaders.
Absolutely. I think I'm just gonna let it play now because it's we still have a minute of that, so maybe we just let it play and then you don't have to translate, but you can
I can go speaking on top if there is no sound. Yeah, I can.
Yeah, I'll just have no sound and you can just talk as you want about what's happening.
Young women that were disappeared, assassinated, and because they were fighting for a better future for Colombia. Marquez, too fast for me. Sorry. It's not like I'm translating for Portuguese. This is not my first language.
No, I don't want you to translate. What I would prefer if you just talk about what happened, that like from your own words. Tell people, our audience, as this is playing in the background, tell people what happened in Colombia, who is the president, like what happened in the election, that type of thing. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the president. He used to be he was trained in the guerrilla. He was also a guerrillero, but this is what happens in South America, right? We had the military coup d'etat that happened in the 70s. So you have actual comrades. There are going into to be elected president, vice president, senators, and representatives. And what happened in Colombia right now is that they elected a man that it's a bit too left, even from Lula. People are saying that he's like Lula, more of a center left. And she is a Black South American woman. And this is like, racism is a real thing. We don't have like many Black people in positions of power. So this is like extremely revolutionary for this woman to be the vice president of Colombia. She's also an activist and an ambientalist. And she is to the left of most of the even the women in the Black Panther Party. Like, she is a radical activist woman. And the reason why this happens in South America is because the way people vote, like the electoral politics are different than here. Over there is one person, one vote. So if 10 people voted for CJ and 5 voted for Nick, CJ obviously won. But they had to go to a second round because people were saying that there was corruption. They were pushed to a second round. And
They got the entire day off to vote too, by the way.
What? Sorry.
They got the entire day off to vote in Colombia.
Yeah, yeah. It's a day. Is it Brazil too? It's a day off. You go vote.
And I also want to mention, because me and Josana, we was talking about Lula last week, and one of the biggest criticism of Lula's in the way he's running is that he actually got someone to his right as vice president. But Gustavo Petro, who's more of a social democrat, progressive style character, he's not like an unapologetic socialist, right? But he got Francia Marquez that is significantly to his left, which is giant. Like, she was literally in the streets, a well-known activist in the community, and she called for land reform because Colombia has been a neoliberal right-wing government that has been pretty much a proxy of the United States for years, for decades. And you have Ivan Duque, who led military death squads that will attack any working class movement. Any working class movement will be attacked by the military, and the military hostile to Gustavo and Francia Marquez now, because they're calling for land reform. Francia Marquez called for ending the drug war. She called for reparations for African Colombians and indigenous people. Like, imagine Kamala Harris calling for reparations for black people. Do you guys see the difference?
Right.
So I remember one of my mutuals was telling me in one of my tweets. He said they had speeches. I talked about this yesterday, where they had giant riot shields in front of them giving speeches because the military will kill them, and I am not exaggerating. They are a gangster militaristic regime, and the military was openly against Gustavo and openly against Francia. And there was one speech where Francia was talking, and there was literally like a red dot that popped up on her head.
That's the thing that people don't understand or believe when I say, like, we lost. Actually, I will be in DC 29th and 30th of July because they're doing a march to remember the memory of Marielle Franco. We lost Marielle Franco. She was like Francia. She, like, in her last speech, if I knew and how to add subtitles, and no, I don't know. Her last speech, she's speaking to the man like that was threatening to kill her, and that night he kills her. She looks at their eyes and says, like, I won't be silenced. So, like, these are the type of people that we have down there. It's a black woman with a red dot point, like, spot on her forehead, and not caring for it because, like, if, like, and that's the thing that sometimes I do not understand here. Where is the hunger for change? Like, where are, like, and you guys have guns. I mean, in our countries, no, it's not. We cannot carry guns.
They literally die fighting for the shit they fighting for in Colombia. So I love that you brought that video up, CJ. I want to play this video first, and then we can get to Ron DeSantis. Yeah. I've been covering Colombia. I've been covering what's been going on in Colombia ever since we started this network. Me and CJ covered Francia Marquez like 3 months ago or so. And I don't know if you guys remember, there was giant uprisings in Colombia last year, and we covered that at the time. And I played this video when we did our coverage of the original uprising and protest in Colombia. And I think this is a great video. Even though this video is a year old, I think it's a great video to watch. I remember when we played it so you guys can understand the situation in Colombia when there were massive riots. Now let's watch this video so you guys can understand the situation which led this country to elect its first ever leftist president. I love this video because this guy breaks down the crisis in Colombia in such an accurate way. But before I do that, Josan, do you want to say something? It seemed like you did. Okay, all right. Let's get to the video.
Colombians are fed up. 73% of the people in this country approved the strike before it started, and it has only grown since then. And how it feels like there is a massive uprising in this country that nobody runs and nobody controls. There's no vanguard leading this, although many many organizations and unions and organizations have put all the strength into this. This is a spontaneous, massive national uprising against, and I'm not exaggerating, this is not a political rhetoric, against a fascist mafia regime. It is, there are assassinations and massacres in Colombia throughout the country after the peace agreement with FARC was signed, counted by the thousands. There are also impoverishment of the people. The healthcare system doesn't work. We didn't have a healthcare system prior to the pandemic. The pandemic has only made this a lot worse. There is a direct attack against the poor indigenous people, Afro-Colombians throughout the country. There is ongoing impoverishment, but here's what's happening that explains everything. On the one hand, the Colombian elite and government are linked with drug trafficking, drug trade. That's why we say mafia. The returns of money from drug trade, Colombia produces 92% of the cocaine that goes around the global market, 40% of which is not going to the US anymore, but to Europe, Asia, Africa, etc.
It's so funny to see, like, sorry.
I'll pass it right to you, Josan. But you see how he said this is a gangster regime, and that's why I wanted to show this video before we got to the DeSantis video, because this is the rules-based order that the United States support. Ivan Duque and the fascist gangster regime that he is talking about is what the United States supported, and they gave them material support. Ivan Duque was close allies with Joe Biden. But sorry, Josana, go ahead. I just want to add that last point.
No. What's the name of the agency? Is FDA the one that's responsible for the drugs that went in Colombia?
DEA, right?
No.
DEA.
DEA. So this is DEA jobs, like to go into our countries in South America and figure out who they're going to support for the next president, for the government. They put all the cocaine dealers in power. They do, because that's how they control them too. In Brazil, we have that too. Like in 2019, the presidential airplane was they caught in the presidential airplane in Brazil 37 kilos of cocaine. Nothing was done about it. And it's in such cruel way that, like, you guys have no idea. They are the gangsters. Bolsonaro is from a militia, and I know Americans don't use that word as, like, he's from a gang. It's like these guys that were in Colombia, they are from it, and they kill you. They don't ask questions, and nothing happens to them. So this victory, it's a victory of the people. And that's what we're trying to do, like, to push away imperialism. We are trying to elect leftist candidates, because that's the only, like, we need to push them out, because they put the gangsters in power, and then they suppress us. We cannot come here. We cannot run away. That's the pressure poor people live in countries like Colombia.
So now I think now is a good time to get to the Ron DeSantis video, because now the imperialists are in shambles. Every time there's a picture in South America, you see these fucking imperialists, especially in Florida, because they trying to appeal to the Gusanos, the bourgeoisie that benefited from the neoliberal looting of the people.
They have a large population of Colombians in Florida.
The reason why DeSantis is giving this speech, because there are a lot of Colombians, and maybe JB is more qualified to speak on this than I am, but they're just like Cuba. There are a lot of Colombians that moved to Florida, and it's not like a ton of poor people, right? There are a lot of bourgeoisie Colombians that Ron DeSantis has to appeal to, right? But JB can add more to that, but we also can get to the video, because this is hilarious. This is hilarious to me. We can play the video unless anyone else.
Yeah, I'll play the video, and then JB can fill us in on any missing information about the area.
And I just want to say, on behalf of the people of Florida, we watched the election results down in Colombia, And we have a lot of great Colombian Americans here in our state who were very concerned about what was going on. And I think the results of that election have been very, very troubling for people that believe in freedom in the Western Hemisphere to elect a former narco-terrorist and a Marxist, to lead Colombia terrorist and a Marxist, to elect a former narco-terrorist and a Marxist to lead Colombia is going to be disastrous. And so we've stood with the people here in Florida that have ties to Colombia. We've had a great relationship with Colombia as a state. We were all hoping that the outcome would be different. We've got a problem in the Western Hemisphere with Marxism and totalitarianism really spreading.
They keep bringing up Marxism. They're deathly afraid of that. Deathly.
That's their
totalitarianism really spreading. We thought, 25 years ago, the Cold War and all this stuff, and it just keeps rearing its head. So we'll continue to stand with the people of Florida here who are passionate about freedom in the Western Hemisphere, particularly in Colombia, but very, very disappointing and very, very troubling result in that
This
election.
is be aware that we're going to see more and more videos like that. Because coming October 3rd, Lula is going to win. And then the bloc, the Latin American bloc, is going to come. And we are going to start seeing as terrorists. There will be a Latinx ban, right? Just like Trump did with Muslim people.
I actually didn't. He said something. He said something I actually did not catch the first time I watched that video, which is a damning omission. I didn't catch this. You guys see what he said? He said we fought the Cold War, but Marxism keep rearing its head.
You're right,
guys. That's a damning. Remember what we say on this channel. I actually trying to decolonize my mind and train myself to stop saying the Cold War. The Cold War was a global class war waged by capitalists to shut down left-wing movements that was popping up all over the world. That is what the Cold War was. So he says we fought the Cold War to stamp out Marxism and workers. So he literally admitting to the CIA death squad.
Yes.
Like that's literally him admitting. He's like, man, I thought we killed all these motherfuckers, but they keep winning. I legitimately didn't realize that when I first listened to him say that. But anyone else want to chime in before I have my next part?
Yeah, JB, go ahead. Is there a lot of Colombians in Florida that you know of?
A lot of white ones. I'm gonna be real. Look, okay, Francia Marquez is the first Afro-Colombian I have ever seen in my life.
What?
That's the first Afro-Colombian I have ever seen in my life.
I have an explanation why.
Go ahead, Josana. I would love to hear it.
That's what they like. That's what they like to project about all of these countries.
Why.
Yeah.
In countries that are outside of the border with the U.S., and that comes back from what I said before. They keep the poor people here just right on the edge of not being really, really poor, because then they start thinking. Then, in countries that are not the U.S., race means class. If you are Black, if you are African, if you are indigenous, you are therefore poor. You don't have positions of power. There is no LeBron in Brazil. Soccer players in Brazil, they get super rich because they played in Europe. They came straight up from the favela and they leave the country. We don't have this figure of the superstar from we people in my country or people in South America that look like me or darker are poor people.
Yeah, and Eric Gray is right, because a lot of the Cubans that I've seen look like Marco Rubio. That's what they look like.
That's right. Over there, this is white. Yeah. It's just here that people that are white and because they speak like me, they all person of color.
Yeah. So I've been to Colombia. I've been to all over parts of Colombia. Of course, Bogota, Cali. I've lived there for a few weeks, and it was a culture shock. It was a culture shock to see people coming up to me expecting me to know what Spanish is, and I have no idea what they're talking about, and they happen to be Black too, and they're looking at me like, "What the fuck? What?" And the they're looking at me talk English, and they're looking like, what? Like they didn't know there were black people that could talk English. That's the kind of look they had on their face when I'm talking, and they're going, what? And they're saying gringo. It doesn't mean white like what it means for like here at where I'm in California. You use gringo, that typically means a white American, like when a Latin person is saying that here. But
No, it's an
gringo just mean
imperialistic
American.
person.
It just ain't mean America. You came from the capitalist. You came from the imperialist core. That's all I know. That's what gringo means everywhere else, right? So I was just a gringo to them, and that was a shock when I first got there. And then just talking to them and getting the story.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's very, very, very mixed. And I lived in Cali, was a poor area. This is literally like villages. Like it looks like a village. And it's dirt roads. There's no public transportation. It's a bus that drives by. It's a personal owner. He drives by. You hop on it. Literally, you physically hop on it. It's people holding on to the thing. This is it in Colombia. It's destitute, poor, like abject poverty. When I was there, but it was a lot of different races, and they don't project that for the country.
Yeah.
So my favorite. Go ahead, JB.
Well, one thing I wanted to bring out is the hypocrisy and idiocy of Ron DeSantis.
Yep,
now, just to let you guys know, I live in Florida. Ron DeSantis is the governor of my state. I know. But here's the thing. Ron DeSantis wants to talk about the totalitarianism. Ron DeSantis is a totalitarian governor. Why? And I said this on my stream earlier. He's a totalitarian governor because he is anti-free speech as hell. You cannot talk about race. He doesn't want you talking about race. He doesn't want you talking about sexual orientation unless it's heterosexuality, right? You can't even bring it up in a passing way in the school, and you're using it as in an age-appropriate way. You cannot talk about it. He does not want you to protest. He wants you to do parades. Protesting with permits is just parades, and that's what Ron DeSantis wants you to do.
Yeah, and Disney opposed the Don't Say Gay bill, and then he literally punished them economically. Well, I don't like Disney at all, but dude, this dude is an intense authoritarian. But sorry, go ahead, JB.
No, yeah, and Ron DeSantis is anti-free speech. He is totalitarian, and so for him to say that is mere projection. That's all he's doing. So yeah, fuck Ron DeSantis, man.
Yeah, this is Jimmy quoting me because this is what I said. And I brought up, and actually, bro, look at this. I'm under Ron DeSantis' tweet. Bro, I fucking Dana Rachel Max Boot for like 3,000 likes. He had to fucking block me. Got 5,000 on Ron DeSantis. I'm out here slaying the imperialists, right? So I exposed to many of his fans because a lot of right wingers like to, I'm for free speech, I'm for free liberties. No, you guys are not. Like right wingers think free speech is literally the ability to say racial slurs on social media without being banned. That's it. That's all they think free speech is. So Ron DeSantis banned protesting, right? So when the government gives you permission on how you can protest, that's not a protest. It's a fucking rally. And that's what he did. He cracked down on the BDS movement in Florida. Florida is literally one of the worst states to support the BDS movement. Teachers have been fired en masse for being supportive of the BDS movement in Florida. And then, like JB said, he banned teachers from discussing about race. And this is where a lot of conservatives were confused. Like, what do you mean? They can still talk about race. Guys, I covered on this show, because of his policies, there was black teachers that was fired for even mentioning civil rights era, talking about race, right? There was black authors. And I remember there was this article I read in particular where there was this guy, he write children's books. And there was a book about this black girl. And the whole point of this book was like, yeah, your hair is normal. Black girls, you should feel positive about yourself. That literally was the entire message of the book. Feel positive about yourself. Love yourself. You're beautiful and black. And then they banned it because according to them, that's critical race theory. So I am asking these people, please think about the function of the policies that you are supporting. So I want to show you guys this last screenshot. And I know we probably got to wrap here soon. Because this is what Ron DeSantis and these right-wing populists really fucking believe. And I said, this exchange is still killing me. Because this is under my tweet. I had a lot of these Ron DeSantis people that was getting their mind blown out. I was ratioing all of them. This guy said, well, he banned violent riots. Violent riots are already illegal, you dumb fucks. This is the government telling you how you can resist the government and pretty much stripping all of our power away, right? So that's why that video was hilarious. He always talking about we care about freedom, even though you guys lock people up for plants, right? You guys do not believe in freedom at all. We're probably the least free country. But anyone else have anything? I know we went a little bit long, but anyone else have anything they want to add? I gotta get going soon. I got another show.
Yes, hasta la lucha siempre. We coming.
Yeah, I think we're gonna be ending the stream pretty soon. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just being silly. Sorry.
No, I'm gonna give the fundraising totals. But yeah, Josana already said in the private chat that we're gonna be.
No, wait.
And it's pretty soon. Go ahead.
Wait, think about what you're saying, Welch. Think about this. Ron DeSantis banned unlawful activity. What do unlawful means? What do unlawful? He banned unlawful activity. Motherfucker's already unlawful. Jesus Christ. Ron DeSantis has the dumbest supporters I have ever seen in my life. Guys, do you guys really think that we can go and protest and do shit that's violent? Do you guys have any idea how many people in the Black Lives Matter protest was arrested? The George Floyd protest was arrested? But they were like, oh, he just made sure that you guys can't do any illegal activity while you guys are protesting. You mean it was already on the books? He just stripped away the legal justification of protesting. Jesus fucking Christ. Well, delete your account. Delete the entire account. That's probably the dumbest comment I ever read on here. I'm not even exaggerating. But sorry, go ahead, CJ. Jesus.
Maybe he's being sarcastic.
Maybe.
Maybe. I was just because I just thought of it twice. I'm like, because we usually have some good people here. I'm like, not ready. Oh, maybe you're being sarcastic. LOL in the beginning. Yeah.
Maybe he's being sarcastic.
Yeah, maybe he's being sarcastic. So
yeah.
Go ahead, JB. Did you have something?
No. I was thinking. I think he's being sarcastic. I seriously think he is.
Okay. Right, so the reason why I react that way because there's so many Ron DeSantis people that were saying the same fucking thing. They were like, you were just banning violence. So I apologize, guys. I apologize. It's hard to pick up sarcasm, guys. When you type sarcasm, put an exclamation mark, guys. Like, how are you gonna say something without exclamation mark? Is how you tell sarcasm. Right? But, sorry, I apologize, but man.
Yeah, no worries. But let me throw this on the screen. We still are doing our fundraiser, and for everybody who didn't watch our fundraising stream, the goal is $10,000. We are currently at $1,264. It's partly because we haven't been pushing it. We missed the stream last week where we didn't push it because a bunch of things happened at the last minute. But we want to push this in our streams, even if when we're not streaming together. Nick and JB, if you want to push these are the totals. Just reach out to me. I'll give you the totals, and you can give up-to-date totals. You can donate Venmo and also Cash App. These are the totals we have so far. The goal is $10,000 so that we can, and 70% of that $10,000 is housing for JB and my mom's house taxes. And then we're also raising a little money for Camp Dada, just a little bit, but that's continuous and ongoing. And then a little money for the KC tour for the poor when Rome goes out there with Nick. And then lastly, the last 1,000 is for the website that my sister will be working on. Actually, she's here at my house right now and is going to begin to just update the colors, update the name from the old one. And then I'll talk to all of you more about that offline. But anything before I give the last shout outs and everything? I'll pass it to all of you for last words, for any last comments on the topics
I'm
or
gonna keep
anything
because
else.
I got another stream I got prepared for tonight. So make sure
all right.
Oh yeah, my announcements. The last thing I'm gonna announce here is I'm live with Zoya and Delilah. We're gonna talk about policing. I want to do a Uvalde cop cover-up story on Saturday, but unfortunately something came out. I couldn't do the stream, so we're gonna talk about that tonight. I'm also gonna have Ben Norton on tomorrow. Super excited about that. We're gonna talk about Colombia even more. Probably one of the best voices in Colombia that had like that's really big. So That's what I have, and I have a few more. Oh yeah, Saul Rod, she's back on Thursday. So this is gonna be like
Oh
4
wow,
calls a
she's
week.
back. Wow,
Yeah.
she's back. Yeah,
So
been waiting for her to be back. Haven't seen her in a
yeah,
long
there,
time.
she wrote a new article talking about sanctions, and that's her big thing. She cover I think we're gonna talk about Iran sanctions and sanctions that U.S. is imposing right now. So I got a lot of guests planned. I got like so many guests lined up, but that's for this week, guys. So that's all I have.
What time are you on tonight? What time are you on tonight again?
9 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay, so so it's not like we're gonna overlap. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we should. But I see you guys tonight.
All right. JB, I'll go to you, and then Josiah. Any last thoughts on the topic, or what's happening? What's coming up with you next, as far as your show? Any guests or anything on the horizon for you?
Yeah, just to let you guys know, if you are talking to someone who you're trying to move to the left on certain topics and issues, if they start talking about people like Ron DeSantis, let them know and bring out the facts based on like him being anti-free speech, him moving in a very totalitarian fashion. Let them know, and bring receipts too if you can show receipts, and let them know that they are being propagandized too as well. So on my channel, I'll be doing the reading continuing of Dirty Truths by Michael Parenti. Also exclusively on Rockfin, I did the reading of Blood in My Eye by George Jackson. So I read this on Rockfin. So if you guys would like to go to my channel on Rockfin, you guys can hear that exclusively. And also next week on my channel, I'll be talking to Shama Sawant on Tuesday, a week from today. So I'll be having her on to talk about different things as well regarding the left and doing things outside of the Democratic Party. So that should be very interesting. And stay tuned for the JB show this Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It should be a good one. Love you.
Absolutely. And Josana, what do you have coming up? What do you have going on? Talk about Camp Dada if you like. Any updates?
Yeah, I just wanna ask for you all to just go to @InfoChangeCamp on Twitter, DM us a recording about how do you feel, like a 2 minutes recording about how do you feel that you are being, I don't know, how do you feel that climate change, the lack of universal health care, student loan debt, the lack of unions at what you do, how do you feel like you're being pushed by that? How is that like targeting your life? How do you feel about that? Share with us so we can put it out there. The goal of this event is to build community, to get us together, to understand that we might have all the same struggles, right? So support Camp Dada as much as you can. In any ways, if you cannot donate, you can also share and follow and support. And yes, that's it.
Absolutely. And before you go, JB, I just wanted to make sure I shared, actually all of us, not just JB, before we all go, just sharing the fundraising information again. Here is the graphic we made for one of the graphics we made for the fundraiser. It has the Cash App and also the Venmo, and our goal is $10,000. And I can break it down here. 5,000 is for JB's housing. 2,000 is for my mom's housing, and then the remaining 3,000 is for the website Camp Dada and Tour for the Poor. So contribute. This is an ongoing campaign. So if you're not able to contribute this week, maybe you have a few dollars next week. So, but this is ongoing until we reach the target. And right now, the latest update, and this is the most recent update, is $1,264.14. So that is the latest update so far. But that's all I have. Thank you for joining us on this RBN Live Tuesday. We will be back here again. Hopefully, Rome will be able to join us next time. We'll be back here again next Tuesday for another episode. Oh, and don't forget to like this stream on your way out. Let's see if we can crack 400 likes. That'll make sure it pops up in everybody's stream. All right, so we'll end with this video. The stream will end right after the video. We're not coming back. So everybody have a great rest of your day. And here is the Black Panthers and the Young Patriots.
Went to this community meeting with the Join organization.
Panthers are here. Panthers are here. For Uptown. Okay. We come here with our hearts open. You cats to supervise us, where we can be of help to you. What do you want in your community? What do you want here? Are you afraid of pay? You want to take berets off, man, or what, man?
There were a lot of suspicions about the Black Panthers that they were gun carrying terrorists.
It was a scenario that I had never been in before. I see some guys with Confederate flag patches. I was a little concerned.
The thing we got to deal with is concept of poverty, man. We got to be reach color things. See,
The building's not fit for dogs to live in, but humans having to pay $144 a month for things. They sell the building, to new ownership. What we need is understanding among the people, coalition between the people to stick together and take them owners and put them over here in the lake somewhere.
right on. Once you realize, man, that your house is funky with rats and roaches, same way a black dude's house is, once you realize that your brother's been brutalized by the cops, the same way the west side and south side is, once you realize that you are paying taxes for the cops to whoop your ass, you're paying them, and you're paying them to kill you. You deal from there. The same things happen on the south
Bob
side.
Lee turned out to be quite an organizer. And he says, yeah, my name is Bobby Lee, but my real name is Robert E. Lee. And we all laughed. He said, you got to be kidding me.
Who's here that want to see this thing move? Right on. But the first thing we talk about now is how we're going to organize. Where are we going to organize? And, we're all going to get run out of here eventually.
That was a good meeting. It was. It got everybody riled up.